People aren't always what they play. 12-year-old Maren is sure theater camp isn't for her. Theater camp is for loud, confident, artsy people. People like her older sister, Hadley. The last person Maren wants to think about. And her cinema-obsessed, non-binary bunkmate, Theo. But when a prank goes wrong, Maren gets drawn into the hunt for a diamond ring that, legend has it, is linked to the camp's namesake, Charlie Goodman, a promising director in Blacklist-era Hollywood. When Maren connects the clues to Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, she and her new friends are off searching through lighting booths, orchestra pits, and costume storages, discovering the trail and dodging camp counselors. But they're not the only ones searching for the ring, and with the growing threat of camp closing forever, they're almost out of time. For First Chapter Friday, here is Twelfth by Janet Key. In every theater, no matter how large or small, there is one light that never goes off. Long after the actors have bowed and the curtain has closed, long after the audience has left and the sets have been struck and the floor has been swept, there is still one light left shining in the center of the empty stage. This light is called the ghost light. In part, the ghost light is left on to keep people from getting hurt in a dark theater. But more than anything, the ghost light is left on because theater people have a lot of superstitions. They believe in things that can and cannot be said. Pre- and post-show routines. Personal trinkets and tricks and good luck charms. And if they should fail to honor these, just so, well, lights aren't the only type of ghost in theaters. The ghost light of this story was shining on the auditorium stage at Camp Goodman, where Miss Maxine Bradley, the acting teacher, was performing her own pre-camp superstitious ritual. She was wearing a neon yellow visor over her snowy white hair, a bright purple unitard, and green leg warmers. As if her clothes weren't loud enough, she was also blasting a song on an old cassette player that leaked through her headphones and into the empty theater. Tomorrow she would greet another batch of campers, and she liked to dance around the stage a day in advance. It was a ritual she had performed every single summer of the camp's 60 years. And everyone knew Miss Bradley was the oldest instructor at the camp. She was halfway through her pre-camp dance when something made her pause. She wasn't sure what exactly. She hadn't heard anything. She couldn't have, over her music. And she hadn't seen anything either, as the stage was empty. But something made her stop dancing, and that same something made the hair on the back of her neck stand up. Miss Bradley was superstitious about the hair on the back of her neck standing up. Slowly, she paused her music and lifted her headphones off. The silence of the auditorium swooped down on her as she spun on the spot, looking first at the stage behind her, then into the backstage wings, then out into the audience. The empty seats before her seemed to have their faces held up to the stage, expectant and waiting. "Hello?" she called into the quiet. A buzzing sound came from behind her, She spun around and gasped as something dark skittered across the floor, then laughed in relief. The sound was just the ghost light, its bulb buzzing away, and the thing that had made her jump? Only her own shadow. She laughed again and shook her head for working herself into such a fright. She was about to put her headphones back on when she realized her shadow was doing something unusual. It was growing darker and lighter, darker and lighter. She turned toward the ghost light again, more curious than afraid now, and saw a remarkable thing. The ghost light, the light that should never ever go out, was flickering, brighter, then dimmer, brighter, then dimmer, and the electric buzz grew louder and softer with it. It was strangely hypnotic to watch, like the gentle pulsing of a jellyfish. Miss Bradley felt annoyed now. She didn't want to get caught in the dark, and she certainly couldn't safely conduct a class here tomorrow if the lights were on the fritz. She looked over her shoulder into the dark space off stage, thinking she might be able to find someone there to help her. "Hello," she called again. As if in answer, the buzzing of the bulb grew louder, the light brighter. It began to pulse even faster than before. Bright, dim, bright, dim, almost like a heartbeat, almost like it were alive, almost like the light was saying hello back. The hairs on the back of Miss Bradley's neck stood up even taller. She stepped closer to the light, squinting when it got to its brightest. "Hello?" she whispered. This time the buzz was almost deafening. The light so bright she had to raise her hand to shield her eyes. In the metal frame she could make out her own reflection, stretched long and thin in the metal, and there was something behind her, something else, someone else. Miss Bradley gasped. She would have screamed, but she didn't have time. The floor disappeared from under her, and she dropped silently and heavily into the square of perfect darkness. A second later, the trap door slid shut. The stage was empty again. The ghost light faded back to its usual brightness and shone on. And this has been a preview of Twelfth by Janet Key.